We're live.
We're live.
We're live.
We're alive.
Another day, another life.
Yep.
Welcome to the pregame show at Fish Talk Live. Captain Mario Costello, myself, Gary Bartell, starting things off. Billy is a bit on the, I don't know, is he sick or hungover?
Well, I believe he's sick because he was coughing and hacking a little bit, so we gave him the night off.
All right, well, hey.
So you're stuck with us.
Who else could be better to get stuck with?
I'm not sure.
Hey, we are looking forward to that as well. We've got a awesome guest on the show tonight.
Yes, we do.
We're pumped about it. We're going to be talking about that here in a few seconds. So, guys, this is just the pregame show. We're going to do the catch of the week real quick and the Extreme Decalz Catch of the week, and we're going to see what's happening. I've been gone for a little bit, just got back in town, so I'm really curious, what it's like. And then you're going to be doing a full inshore report here
I'll
soon,
do a
too.
little fishing report, tell everybody what's been happening inshore since you've been gone doing your thing.
Sweet.
So,
what's up, Chris? My man. Denise. All right, Sean, what do we got for catch of the week? Let's see what happened.
we got trout.
There's some trout. Ronald Higdon. He's got himself 3 nice specks there.
Look at that.
Captain Brian Fichette. Nice redfish. Look at this gut on that
Big,
thing, Mario.
thick red. Yeah, we could use those in tournament time.
Seriously, yeah. James. Him and Jessica, I'll tell you what, they're
always on the water.
Always.
Hey, there's some of mine. Look at that.
I recognize that logo.
Yep. That's the man from iHeartMedia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, too cool.
Yeah, he's the guy that runs it in Tampa.
Nice pair of redfish.
There's Jessica. Look at that. Another nice red. There's another one. That was from yesterday. It had another doubled up. One was over slot, one was top slot.
Redfishing's been good, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's been really good. It's a nice snooky.
Yeah,
That was one of mine also. We caught that one in the Great White North. Chris Dunning.
Yep.
Yeah, he actually won my trip at the Weeby Tailin Shindig.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good deal.
That's the 3rd time he's won my trip.
He is a great person, to win a trip because, dude, that guy's, him and his brother, awesome people.
Like I was saying, if I was going to buy lottery tickets, I have him pick it because he wins everything, every single thing.
Good deal. Beautiful redfish. Alrighty, so that was the Extreme Decalz Catch of the Week. Guys, if you want your photo submitted, just send it to us on Facebook Messenger. We prefer, early afternoon, the day of the show, but if you can get it to us before that, that'd be great, and we'll get it up there. But, Mario, what do you think we get started with the actual show?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Beyond the woods, down the twists and the turns, through the marsh, lies the knowledge needed to fish the nature coast.
This is Fish Talk Live.
Got me. Still got me every time.
Welcome to
Fish Talk Live, presented by
Phillips Auto Group.
the one and only Phillips Auto Group. Ride in style with Phillips and just go hang out with some great people, from the sales team to the mechanics in the back, and even their GMs are kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, they're all right.
The finance guy, he's a little odd, but
Yeah, a little shady.
you gotta love Don. So, all right, guys. So this is Fish Talk Live. We've got a huge show tonight.
Big show.
Mario, we're talking about something. Tonight's main focus, we were talking earlier, I've only been out one time, and I really don't remember the actual experience from it. You've been out one time doing it. American red snapper.
That's a crazy thing to talk about for us two inshore
Yeah,
guys.
seriously. As soon as anyone says anything red, redfish. That's
me
what
too.
I think
I'm the
of.
same way. Yeah, exactly the same way.
But luckily, we've got Captain Dylan from Hubbard's Marine.
Yep.
Owner, and he's an operator and fishing guide. And
He's one of the best.
He's one of the best,
Best
yeah.
in the business.
I mean, he's a legend. So, guys, make sure you pay attention tonight, because if you want to learn anything about American Red Snapper, he is the guy to talk to.
Definitely.
So we're very lucky to have him on the show. We're excited. We're also going to be talking about, one of the most popular lures on the market. Been around for, I don't even know how long, mirror lure.
It's been around forever.
Yeah.
For as long as I can remember.
I was going to say, you're on their guide program. You do a lot of stuff with them. We're going to be specifically talking about their hard baits. I've seen so many people misuse a Miradine. So, I'd say if you guys want to learn how to properly use a Miradine, make sure you pay attention to Mario tonight on the Nature Coast Financials Tackle Table Talk.
I'll give it a shot. I'll do my best.
That's it. So, Mario, before we get started with American Red Snapper, you got to go pretty far out from here
Oh, yeah.
to get to American Reds. But on the way out, there's all kinds of great fishing. What is happening, inshore, on the Nature Coast right now? Like I said in the beginning, I've been gone tournament, New Smyrna. Haven't had a chance to get out much. You've been out every day. What's going on over here?
It's been pretty good. The redfish bite's been really good. It's same typical summertime pattern. There are outside islands all the way, just say from Mangrove Point all the way to Mendip Key. Any of the outside 2 or 3 islands, anywhere you find mullet. The rolling mullet are nice, jumping mullet are nice. You call them, what do you call
Loping.
them? Loping mullet.
Loping
when
mullet.
they just kind of mill around.
Yep.
That's the money.
That's it.
But we've been getting them more on low water, which I don't usually fish the extreme low water in the summertime. It's not really that extreme, but we've been getting them right at the bottom of the tide. Seems to be the best time. They're 150, 200 yards off the islands.
Really?
In the deeper holes. When I say deeper, I'm saying 8 to 10, 12 inches deeper than everything else around it. They've been in those pockets like they normally do on the low water, and they seem to be ready to eat when they're away from the islands like that. So
Good deal.
but it's been pretty good. Cut bait, shrimp, just about anything you throw at them is gonna work on the low water.
Speaking of cut bait, one of the biggest arguments is how big do you cut your mullet? There's a lot of people that'll cut the bellies out and then just do little chunks. I prefer a bigger chunk. Gives the pinfish time to kind of gnaw on it a little bit.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way.
Bigger.
When I cut my mullet, I'm cutting them a little bit wider than my thumb, maybe just a tad wider than my thumb. We'll say 1 inch wide on the front part of it. Once I get past the dorsal fin, I'll cut them a little bit wider since it tapers down a little bit. But I usually get about 5 chunks out of one normal size. We'll just say a 14-inch long mullet.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Get about 5 pieces out of each one.
What about trout?
Oh, I don't cut trout.
No.
I'm just kidding.
That was a good one.
Yeah. We haven't been doing a whole lot of trout fishing. I did yesterday just for a little while. And we've been just out in that 5 to 6 feet of water around the rock piles in the foul area and south of the foul area and just outside of the Homosassa channel. And it's been here and there, but the trout we have been catching are pretty good size.
Good deal.
Yeah. So that's the plus side. And they've been hitting on plastic.
What's your preferred color when you're out?
Glow.
Glow.
It's always glow. Yeah. If it's not glow, then it's glow. So.
if it's not glow, it's no.
Yeah, there's other colors we use out there too, but I just happen to have a lot of glow colored baits in my box. It seems to work really good, especially for the trout. But if you're not using glow, any of the watermelon red works really good. Like Miradine, or I'm sorry, Miralure makes a watermelon red it's absolutely perfect for trout fishing. They make a couple of I believe it's called Golden Brim. That's
Yes.
a very good
Yeah.
color. And the Bourbon is a good color. Any of
Okay.
the natural colors.
So I see some of those over on the table, so we'll talk about those tonight as well. Cobia, have you heard anything? Oh, actually, back to trout. Let's say you're in 5 foot of water. I think this is a commonly asked question. What size jig head are you using at that point?
If I'm using a popping cork, I'll put it on an 1/8 ounce jig head. If I'm jigging straight without a popping cork, I'll usually use a 1/4, just because it's a little bit deeper and I'm impatient. I don't like to wait. So.
Gotcha. And you're out there drifting. You're not anchoring.
No, I'm not anchoring. Okay. Not in that. Anything deeper than 4 feet, I'm not going to anchor.
Got it. Perfect. All right, cobia. Have you? I see a lot of stuff, on Facebook and social media. North, it seems Yankeetown, all the way up into the Panhandle.
Right.
Steenhatchee, they're catching them like right inside the flats.
Really? Wow, that's fantastic.
But is there much? I saw Jacob and Teddy. I think maybe Carlos went out. I'm pretty sure all three of them.
Yeah, John Beach went out a couple days ago and got some. I believe. Who else went out? There was a couple of the guys that run up north, Yankeetown and Crystal River, have been getting them too. But I haven't been able to find them because the weather's been too rough for me. I don't like going out there when it's too windy. I don't have the right boat for that.
Well, it seems like they really didn't move to the flats here like they have in the past couple of years.
I usually don't see them in the flats until the fall run.
To the fall?
Yeah.
Okay.
The spring run, they're usually a little further out, and plus we've had all this east wind, and the east wind they ride the wind out. They're lazy fish, so they ride the wind out. So they're a little bit further offshore on the east wind. If you have 2 or 3 consecutive west wind days, then you do see them push more inshore. But most of the time on an east wind, they're offshore.
Gotcha. Guys, we want you all to ask as many questions as possible. If we don't answer them, live, we will go back on Facebook, or Aubrey's doing a great job monitoring these questions. So if y'all have a question on anything that we're talking about, please ask it. And also do us a favor, please share. That would be greatly appreciated. But I think it's probably time to go ahead and get into what everyone's been waiting for and talk to the man himself, Dylan. So let's hit a commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to do a little intro, and then we're going to get on the Ayinde Matthews State Farm Cast Couch and talk to Dylan Hubbard.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Man, let's do it.
Phillips Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram in Ocala has been serving North Central Florida since 1997. Family owned and operated, Phillips' knowledgeable sales staff will help you find the right vehicle for your needs. Join the Jeep Club, tow a boat in a new truck, or feel the power of Mopar performance. Come to Phillips Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram in Ocala and get your dream ride, or visit us online at phillipscjdr.com today.
Here we are.
We're back on Ayinde Matthews Casting Couch.
State Farm. So, like we were just saying, if you want to know anything about red snapper, tonight's the night.
Yes.
Tonight's the night, and then we're also gonna, talk about how you can learn this stuff too on Saturdays. Or he said Friday, Saturday, Sundays.
Yeah, he has 3 radio shows going on, so or 3 shows, I should say. The Saturday morning show is the one that everyone tunes into, especially when there's bad weather. No one's on the water.
So we're going to learn about that, but before we do that, let's go ahead and give everyone kind of a sneak peek on, what Dylan really focuses on and does. He does a little bit of everything, but I feel like American Reds is his baby.
Yeah,
so
that's his bread and butter.
That's his bread and butter?
His bread and butter, yeah.
All right, so check this video out.
All right, guys. Captain Dylan Hubbard here from Hubbard's Marina with Salt Strong, coming to you with a few different red snapper tips. Red snapper season is just around the corner, and there's no better way to get involved and get ready than getting all your tackle together. Red snapper right now, they seem to be everywhere. They're only getting more and more prolific, so hopefully you won't have trouble finding them. But if you do, there's a few different things you want to look for on your bottom machine when hunting red snapper. One of the best areas to go if you don't have a lot of bottom is you can go to some of these public wrecks and reefs that are marked on your charts. If you go to Bass Pro Shops or if you go to any other tackle shop and get a Top Spots chart, Top Spots charts have these public wrecks. You can plug in that public number and start heading towards one of those public sites. Always watch your bottom machine, because a lot of times on the way there, you're gonna see that fish show. On shell bottom, any fish show is gonna hold red snapper, especially when you're past about 110 to 120 foot, you've got some big red snapper. Out in that deeper water, past about 130 foot, is when you start getting those really big red snapper. Also, besides shell bottom, you've got flat hard bottom that have potholes, or you can go to wrecks, or you can go to springs. Those are the 3 areas we find that hold the most amount of red snapper. And that's a great area to go. Those wrecks, obviously, a lot of those are going to be publicly marked. The shell bottom's easy to find because of those bait shows. And then the same flat hard bottom that holds those fat red grouper you can get plenty of big red snapper too. Now, as far as the area to find them, the other trick is going to be picking the right tackle. Red snapper is a big fish, so you definitely want to try to use at least like a 6/0 reel or better for red snapper. Typically, I'm using around 60-pound main line or even 80-pound main line for some of those bigger red snapper. Now, besides your actual reel, which typically you want to go about 6/0, you also want to make sure you're using the right size line, which is again around that 60-pound test. I normally use a double Snell 7/0 circle hook. You can even get away with 6/0 circle hooks if you'd like, but the double Snell rig works really, really well to make sure that you have two different hooks in your bait. Because those red snapper, they're going to come up and bite quickly, and they're a lot like a mangrove snapper. They come snap your bait and then come around in a circle and eat it. So the double Snell rig allows you to have two different hooks in that bait, so that way, no matter where that fish bites the bait, he's going to get a hook in his mouth. Now, red snapper are one of those species that comes up and bites the bait and runs. So a circle hook is a great option for them. Plus, you're fishing deeper water, so it's easier to set the hook with that circle hook rig. You'll notice I have about a 4-foot leader and then a egg sinker just above that swivel. I use about a 6-ounce egg sinker because I'm using 60-pound line. If I was using 80-pound line, I'd probably use around an 8-ounce sinker. If I'm using a 100-pound line, I'm using around a 10-ounce sinker. So hopefully you get the drift there. Any size of your line, you just drop that last 0, and that's the size weight you want to use. Now, as far as dropping this thing down, when you hit the bottom for red snapper, a lot of times you want to make sure that you're holding bottom naturally. A lot of people make the mistake of just sitting there holding the rod and holding the beer. You want to make sure when you hit bottom that you're holding bottom. So as the boat goes up, you're moving your rod tip down, and as the boat goes down, you're moving your rod tip up. That way your lead's not bouncing on the bottom. Also for red snapper, you want to make sure once you hit the bottom, you straighten out your leader by lifting your rod tip up slowly to the sky and setting that lead back down to bottom. And the tide is going to straighten out that leader for you. So your leader's straight, you're presenting your bait naturally, you're using the right size reel, the right size line, right size hook, you're going to catch plenty of red snappers. One more important thing is besides your area to find them and the tackle you choose, you want to choose the right bait. Red snapper are one of those species right now that seem to be everywhere. They seem to bite just about anything, but there's a few different baits I like to personally use to really target red snapper well. One of my favorites is a long strip of squid. A long strip of cut squid wing works very well because it stays on the hook well and it has that motion under the water. So even if you come up off the bottom, those aggressive red snapper will come up and eat it. Another one of my favorites is, don't tell your friends now, this is our secret, is a strip of bonita belly. Bonita is a very oily, smelly bait, and if you put your hook through the skin of that bonita, that bait will stay on the hook very well for you. So bonita belly is a great option when the red snapper are a little bit picky. Then also you always have your live bait options. A whole pinfish, a whole pigfish, they work well. And even a threadfin with a cut tail and a cut belly cavity works very well. And then I've had plenty of people catch them on vertical jigs. You can use naked ball jigs. You can use a lot of different jig species or jig types as well for red snapper too. So the options are kind of endless when it comes to the bait, but I would say my one trick for you to use is that bonita belly. Very smelly, very slimy, gets those red snapper excited. If you enjoyed the tips on today's video, definitely tell us what you'd like to hear about next. You have endless options. Hubbard's Marina does anything from 2 inches of water out past 1,000 foot. Anytime you want to learn more about anything that swims out in the Gulf, just let us know at Salt Strong what you'd like to learn about, and hopefully I can help you out, give you some tips and tricks to help you be more successful out in the water. You can always come check us out at Hubbard's Marina. You can look us up on Facebook, Instagram, or the FishBrain app, or just come fishing with us here inside beautiful Johns Pass. Remember, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too busy.
Man, that was a great video.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we don't even need to talk about anything else.
That covered everything.
Have you had a chance to go through his YouTube page yet, or the Hubbard's Marina?
No, I haven't, but if that video is on his page or on the website or something, that video has enough information to get anyone started on their own red snapper fishing if they wanted to. That was some great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, that the reason why Sean wanted to play that video is one, everything was just so perfectly stated in that. But tonight we want to get to really know, Dylan himself and his family history and what they do at the marina and what they have to offer and, about the shows and everything. So now, Mario, this is your corner, but I really wanted to sit in on this as well because, the Hubbard's family is just a very intriguing, successble Florida icon of a family.
They've been around forever too,
long time. You said the dad, so I really wanted to ask these questions as well. But I'm going to let you kind of take over from here. I'd say let's bring on let's
bring Dylan on. Yeah. Can you hear us, Dylan?
I can. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, oh yeah, we got you loud and clear. Awesome. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. I enjoyed that video. That was like I believe 2015 or 16, and it was a little painful watching my video from back then, but it's gotten better, I can tell you.
You look a little different. Have you been running a lot more fishing trips or something?
Yeah, I've lost probably close to 80 pounds since that video.
Good for you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that video is on your website, I believe. That is great for all the viewers out there. If you wanted just a little bit of a heads up on the red snapper fishing, that video, that 6.5 minute long video is well worth the time to watch.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. It was put together great. And we thank you for that. Yeah.
So we work really hard on our website to make it kind of a destination and fishing education site, not just so much a booking engine. I mean, obviously it does that too, but if you click fishing trips on our website, hubbardsmarina.com, there's actually a fishing tips and tricks page where we have probably close to about 65 videos like that. And then we have a bunch of our seminars at Bass Pro Shops and different areas that we go to. We film our seminars and put them on the website. And then plus every weekly show since we started in 2016 is up there as well. So literally days and days of video content there for you to consume as much as you want if you want to learn a little bit about nearshore and offshore fishing.
That's awesome. That's pretty awesome. Tell me a little bit about the family history. It's a family-owned business. You guys have been around forever. I don't know how long you've been around, but go through a little bit of the history, like when you guys started.
Yeah, my grandfather started our company in 1928 with 7 rowboats and 14 cane poles. Back in on Mary Pier in Paso Grill, and in 1976. After they had built the big Bayway Bridge, and actually it was the Corey Avenue Bridge, I believe, at first. They were essentially, a lot of traffic was getting diverted from Paso Grill at the time. So my grandfather saw the writing on the wall and made the wise decision to move from Paso Grill in 76 to Johns Pass, where we are today. And since then, we've operated out of Johns Pass right there inside Madeira Beach. And we've been blessed to grow the company over the years and try different things and grow our fleet. And we do any sort of fishing from the back bay with our partner, Mike Anderson, who well, Mario, and all the way out to very, very deep water on our 44-hour trips. We do 39-hour trips. We have a 12-hour extreme split charter style trip on one of our Go Fast boats. We have private charters. We do day trips, a little bit of everything, any age level experience angler. And a big tenet of our company is the customer experience. We guarantee an excellent client experience with superior guest service. And on and off the water, the big goal is education and empowerment and teaching people how to become better anglers. Because to me, party boat fishing is kind of a first step to nearshore and offshore fishing, and fishing in general, right? To me, it's like you start fishing on a pier or a seawall or a jetty, and then you get a little bit interested in it, and you might try a party boat or a split charter with us, and you might get good at it, and then all of a sudden you buy your own boat and you start fishing inshore, or you get a kayak, and the evolution of the angler begins. So I am so blessed in my life to have been born into this sort of fishing and this style of fishing, and then also get to see that evolution of anglers, where someone comes out, knows nothing about fishing. We teach them a little bit, they learn a little bit, they buy their own rod, then all of a sudden they start doing a longer trip and a longer trip. and they go from a 5-hour to a 10-hour to a 12-hour to a 39-hour. And then all of a sudden, a 39-hour and a 44-hour every month. They have 10 rods now, and they are teaching other people how to fish. And then they disappear and buy their own boat and start their own charter business. 20 years later, we see them come back. And it's just been so awesome and so interesting to see. This last weekend, we had 4 generations of one family out fishing: great grandpa, grandpa, dad, and grandson. And the grandson was on his first ever 39-hour trip and won the jackpot with a big 30-pound red grouper. So it's just a really cool thing to be a part of, for sure. Very blessed.
I got a question about those extended trips. So I actually, since I've started watching your YouTube videos and everything, I came across the 44 and the 39, and the amount of fun that those people, you can just see in their face the whole time. What's all included in those trips?
So the 39-hour trip is really unique. It's kind of what we're best known for. We do private charters, and we do day trips, and we do a lot of things, but our 39 and 44-hour trips are really kind of what we're best known for, in my opinion. And the 39-hour is cool. It's offered the most. The 44-hour is essentially exactly like a 39-hour, except for we offer that on a full moon or very close to a full moon. And essentially it gives you an extra 5 hours of night fishing time. But the 39-hour will leave at like 3 o'clock on, say, a Friday, and we get back 6 a.m. Sunday. Or today's 39-hour left 3 p.m. on Tuesday, and it gets back 6 a.m. Thursday. You get about 20 hours of night fishing, or you get 20 hours of fishing, period. And you get about a 7 to 9 hour ride out, 7 to 9 hour ride back. And in that 20 hours of fishing, it's really unique because you get night fishing. You get the sunrise bite. You get the daytime bite. You get the afternoon bite. You get the sundown bite. So you get to see all the way through a very long period and really kind of see all the evolutions of how the bite can change and evolve at different times of year, different moon phases, different sea states, in different areas and varying depths. So it's really, really unique in that aspect. As far as what's included in the trip, when you buy a spot to fish on that 39-hour, you get a spot to fish. You get a bunk to sleep in. It's kind of like a Navy style bunk. I'm 6'7", 275, and I sleep in the bunks pretty comfortably. So they're suitable for sure. And you get an area to sleep. You get an area to fish. We have bathrooms on board with showers. We have air conditioned cabin. We have a full galley as well. So you can purchase a meal package. You can bring your own food. You can bring your own rod and reel or purchase a rod rental. You can bring your own live bait or purchase live bait. We provide all your dead cut bait included in your ticket price. And we get out there, and it's cheaper than 2 nights in a hotel. And our hotel will take you 100 miles from shore and give you a 2-day bag limit.
That's amazing.
I believe what your dad used to say was the best hamburger on the Gulf, too, in the galley. I believe it was.
So how does that...
Yeah.
Do you guys, does the captains do the cooking? Like I mean, when you say a galley, like I'm excited.
We have a full...
Go ahead.
We have a full galley and a full-time galley cook. So we have on those 39-hour trips, we have a first mate, a second mate, a galley cook who acts as a third mate, but mostly is in the galley the whole time. And then we have a first captain and a second captain. So 5 total people there to make sure you have a good experience and a great time out in the water. And our second captain drives out. Our first captain fishes a majority of the trip, and our second captain will drive back. And then our crew mainly helps you guys fish. Stringing fish, keeping track of fish, icing fish, gaffing fish, and keeping everybody safe and fishing and the boat fishing as much and as long as possible. It's a pretty interesting experience for sure.
So like let's say this time of the year, before American Reds, what type of fish are you guys really out there targeting, and how deep of the water are you really playing in?
So one thing to start, to backtrack a little bit, before American Red Snapper season, you hit the nail on the head. What can frustrate me a little bit is people get so wrapped up in American Red Snapper that they forget there's plenty of other fish swimming out there. It's kind of like for you guys that people only want to talk about redfish, but then you have a killer 10, 15 miles away, a killer inshore gag bite. You have huge trout up there in your area. You've got a killer snook fishery now, and you got a lot of other fish to go catch. but people get so wrapped up and targeted on one species, it can you get tunnel vision. And that's what I see with red snapper often. Offshore fishermen or people who don't fish offshore a lot, they only go offshore when red snapper's open. And it gets frustrating for me as a business owner to see someone come out during red snapper season. They waited all year for red snapper to open. They get out there and they're like, man, there's a lot of people out here. It's packed. Why is it so busy? Why is it so hot? It's like, dude, you missed it back in May when it was sunny and 75 and we're catching huge piles of fish. And there was 25 people on the boat. We're half full or less than half full, and just plenty of room to go around and plenty of fish to catch. So I do want to make it clear that red snapper is the most overrated fish that swims, period.
That's what I was figuring.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier too. So, but you have a good red grouper bite this time of year. I'm going to say there's plenty of other snapper species out there. You got mangrove snappers, you've got queen snappers, and all the other things that swim in the water too. So it's not just the American reds.
Yeah. Right now we're focused about 120 to 250 foot of water catching red grouper, scamp grouper, mangrove snapper, lane snapper. We're catching vermilions, porgies, almacos, yellowtails, muttons. We catch a lot of different varieties of porgies. We see blackfin tuna, wahoo, kingfish. So a large variety of species for sure, but primarily about 120 to about 250 foot is our depth of fishing that we target.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah,
you can't get out and push the boat.
I'd go out there just for the hamburgers, to be honest.
Definitely. So, I was thinking the same
if
thing.
Mario, confidently says something positive about food, I'm going to follow it all day long.
I'm a cook, and that's if there's food involved, I want to know about it. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, it's definitely the best hamburger for miles, guaranteed. But it is really cool to get out there and enjoy some hot food, some cold AC, and some cold beer while offshore, and get some hot coffee. So it is cool to have that creature comfort when you're offshore. It's funny to me because in 2016 we went out and built our own custom hydrofoil assisted catamaran. That's a go fast boat, so we can get out there and fish where we fish on a 39-hour or a 44-hour trip and a 12-hour trip. We call it a 12-hour stream trip, and it's the first ever hydrofoil assisted U.S. Coast Guard inspected offshore fishing vessel in the Gulf. And it's a really unique design that my father worked with some folks up in New Orleans to custom build. And it's a great boat, but it's a go fast boat, right? So the weather has to be pretty nice. It has to be 3 foot or less, and we can rip out there really fast, catch a bunch of fish, and rip home. But it's weird when you compare that to a 39-hour trip, right? A 39-hour trip, you're going much slower on the way out, but you can drink some beer and fall asleep in the AC, and then you can wake up and have some hot coffee and eat a cheeseburger or a bacon, egg, and cheese while you're catching fish 100 miles from shore. And it can be 5 foot, 6 foot seas, and you're on a 70 foot long vessel that's almost 30 foot wide. Plenty stable and fishable, even in a pretty significant sea state. So it's just such a mix, right? You're in this go fast boat in the sun. You don't have any creature comforts, or you could go slower and have a lot more creature comforts.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking all day long, that's, I've got a 6-year-old who's fascinated with fishing and more so fascinated with trying new things and different things and seeing all of that. So, that 39, 44-hour trip, I'm seeing that in our future here soon, because that just sounds really cool, and especially a good way to create a bond, so.
Oh, yeah.
That 39-hour trip, that's why it's probably, that more than likely, that's why everyone likes it. That's a good mix of everything there.
Yeah.
You get, like you were saying, you get all the creature comforts. It's very comfortable to be out there. You get to be on the boat with 30 or 40 of the coolest people on the Gulf.
Seriously.
Just catching fish. That's how it all started with me with the offshore thing. I never went offshore fishing until I went on a party boat, and it was fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was affordable. Back when we were young, we didn't have a whole lot of money. So back when I was a kid, it cost us $35 or $40 to go on a boat on the East Coast, and you'd spend the whole day out there. You're catching a handful of fish. It wasn't fantastic, but you got your feet wet. You were able to catch some of these pretty decent sized gag groupers and different things like that before all the regulations came into play. We were able to keep five of them back then.
Yeah.
And we had fun. We had a whole lot of fun doing that, and it was affordable.
Somebody actually had a question for Dylan on the regulations part, but I remember going on the Apollo.
Oh, that was a while ago.
Yeah,
that was the one that was here in Crystal River.
I mean, you go out there and have a gruntastic day, and somebody would catch a grouper, but just the whole experience. So I can only imagine going on one of these trips. But hey, Sean, can we throw up that question? Somebody had or wanted to ask Dylan a question about the golf advisory. Mm-hmm. Pretty sure. So Sean's gonna throw this question up here in a second. Because you do a lot. You do a lot with that. You're very involved. You're probably one of the biggest influences too. So Scott's got a. Oh, there we go. We'll go back to the other question. So Dale wants to know if you can explain the ins and outs of the methods. I don't know if anybody can explain that question, but if you could, how does that work, Dylan, with the Golf Advisory Board?
I don't know where to start with that one. It is an extensive process, and where a lot of people get mixed up and messed up is the difference between the state and the feds. And just a little bit of background to start. In 2016, I really started to get involved. 2017, I really hit the ground running pretty hard in federal fisheries science and management. But I had grown up going to fishery meetings with my father and hearing him talk and hearing other people talk and being interested in it myself. And really kind of came to a head in 2016 and 2017 after we saw the red snapper seasons shrink to almost nothing. We saw a lot of discussion around our red grouper and gag grouper, and I just kind of felt compelled to get involved. And then once involved, I was so enraged, and my tinfoil hat was a little too tight, and it drove me to continue to get involved. And now I'm down a path where I'm blessed to be the president of the Florida Guides Association. Wow. I sit on the board of the Charter Fishermen's Association for the Gulf of Mexico. I'm the national program principal for the National Marine Resource Education Program. I'm the Southeast program principal for the Southeast program for the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. And I serve on the data collection advisory panel for the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council. I am the chair of the Outreach and Education Technical Committee for the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council. I sit on the Ecosystem Technical Committee for the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council. And I also serve on the Reef Fish Advisory Panel for the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council. And so I've been involved in multiple different layers of state and federal management. And I attend every golf council meeting I can. And I attend as many FWC commission meetings as I can, but I honestly don't make it to as many state meetings as I would like to, just because so many other things pull me different directions, and I'm not as heavily involved in state fisheries. But I work with people in our Florida Guides Association board who are very active, and one of our board members, Captain Travis Thompson, goes to every FWC commission meeting. So he does a great job of keeping us abreast and really keeping us in tune to what's going on at the state level and federal level. But at the state level, the FWC manages state waters. So for our west coast of Florida, state waters extend to 9 miles from the demarcation line, which is basically the coastline, to simplify it. So state waters is out to 9 miles, and then obviously inland of the coastline. So that's FWC. So snook, redfish, trout, they really manage the science and management of those species in state waters. Now, the feds, aka NOAA Fisheries, through the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council, manages the federal waters. And a lot of people get that even more so confused, because NOAA Fisheries essentially manages the entire nation's fishery through 8 management councils. So they designate management to 8 different councils. You have the New England Council, Mid-Atlantic Council, South Atlantic Council, Caribbean Council, the Gulf Council, the Pacific Council, the North Pacific Council, and the West Pacific Council. And those 8 councils then manage their regional fisheries. So in our area, we have the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council, and they debate and decide on ultimately regulations that are then transmitted to NOAA Fisheries, and then NOAA Fisheries makes them into rules and federal regulations that are then placed on recreational and commercial anglers in the Gulf of Mexico. And that in and of itself is the 1,000-foot view of how fisheries management is structured. Now, the ins and outs of the process can get really technical and even more kind of diverse, but basically the Gulf Council has 5 meetings per year. And I would encourage everybody to visit the gulfcouncil.org, and right on their website, you can just type in Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council too. Right on their homepage of their website is a calendar, and it easily lists out everything that's going on that month, and everything they do is virtual now. I mean, the one positive of COVID, if there could be a positive, is it made it really a lot easier to be involved in fisheries management and science because everything now is virtual. So every FWC commission meeting you can attend virtually and listen to virtually. Every Gulf Council meeting you can attend and listen to, and even participate and give comment now virtually. So one of the big guys in your area, Bob Gill, is a Gulf Council member, and he actually pioneered a lot of that virtual involvement and has helped me and others really make sure that virtual involvement is still possible. So now you don't even have to show up to a Gulf Council meeting. You can attend and listen virtually and then give public comment virtually as well. So big shout out to Bob Gill, making it easier to get involved and stay current on the fisheries management process. But there's 5 meetings in a year, and they skip around the 5 Gulf states. So every year there's a meeting in Florida, in Alabama, in Mississippi, in New Orleans, and then in Texas. So they switch around, and it's every January, April, June, August, and then October. And they move to different states throughout the year. And the meetings are typically 4 days, Monday through Thursday. There's 17 voting members of the council. Each state has their own delegate. So there's 5 of the 17 are state delegated, meaning the governor appoints someone to represent the state's interests. Basically, in our state, it's an FWC appointee, and that's Dr. C.J. Sweetman currently. And he speaks on behalf of the FWC Commission, basically, at the Gulf Council. Then one of the members of the 17 is the Southeast Regional Assistant Administrator, or Regional Administrator, excuse me. And that's currently Andy Strelchek. So there's 6 of the 17 voting members right there. And then the rest are made up of 11 delegates from the 5 Gulf states. And Florida, being the best part of the Gulf of Mexico with the best fishery and the most biodiversity and the greatest landings, we actually have a heavier presence on the Gulf Council. So not only do we have our state representative from FWC, but we have 4 delegates on the council. So we really have a lot of sway at the state level, or at the federal level as a state. And I've seen it most recently with the gag grouper thing, is basically the FWC appointees said in basically no shorter terms that if you guys do what you want, you can vote however you want. But if you don't vote and go along with what the FWC Commission wants, we're going to do what we want, and you guys won't have a federal season.
Wow.
So it's pretty apparent a lot that Florida has a lot of power and a lot of sway at the Gulf Council because we have a large number of anglers and a bigger delegation on the council. We make up 66% of the red snapper landed in the Gulf of Mexico. We make up like 90% of the gag grouper, like 90 or 80% of the red grouper landed across the Gulf and we represent a large number of the federal permits as well. So something like 60% of the federal permits come out of the state of Florida as well. So we just have a very robust fishery with a lot of landings and a lot of people here. And we're pretty well represented at the council. So that's an overarching view of the process. As far as how the process works, we could get into the management more, we could get into the science more, but to be honest, it's a little complex, and it takes a little while to explain, and I don't want to sit up here and riff for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, Dylan, I really think we should do another episode if you'd like, and break down that, because we've been wanting to do the science of that. We attempted it last year during the gag grouper discussions, and we actually invited some guests from NOAA to come on and help explain and maybe answer a lot of the anger that was out there. They gave us a lot of information, a lot of studies. It was very hard to follow along.
Oh, yeah.
Now, one thing I did learn from that is, and you were talking about their websites, is you can sign up, for those newsletters. You can, and I constantly get notifications and changes and happenings and proposals. But, as far as your everyday anglers that really do pay attention to this stuff, is there any sort of like Facebook groups or anything that we can do to help the commercial guys? Is there anything that we can help follow? What can we do as just everyday anglers, supporting people like you that actually know the ins and outs of this?
So I am not a commercial guy. I'm a recreational guy. So one of the confusing things in federal fisheries is there's only two sectors. There's the commercial sector, which don't take people fishing. They go out there and they catch a bunch of fish and they sell them when they get back to the dock. And then there's the recreational sector, which takes either themselves out fishing in their own private boats or takes a charter boat and party boat full of recreational fishermen. So you guys are recreational fishermen. It doesn't matter if you're standing on a dock, a boat, a pier, a bridge, a jetty, or on the back deck of my boat heading out on a 39-hour. You're recreational fishermen. So we're all recreational fishermen. The caveat is some recreational fishermen prosecute the recreational fishery as a commercial business, i.e. a charter boat or a party boat. So it gets a little gray in that aspect because charter boats and party boats are a business for commerce, but we're recreational fishermen and we take recreational fishing. The one area where it gets real confusing is red snapper because of sector separation, or Amendment 40, and then also Amendment 50, which was state management of private recreational red snapper. You have three kind of sectors when it comes to red snapper. You have commercial, and then you have recreational, and then within recreational you have two subsectors, which is private recreational and then federal for hire recreational. And so we fall under technically federal for hire recreational for red snapper fishing. So it can get a little bit technical. To your earlier point about trying to dive in on some of the science can get a little bit confusing just from the aspect of there's so many layers to it, right? And so many different things. The biggest thing I would like to mention, and the biggest confusing thing that I had going into the process before I was involved, and really it took a lot of time painstakingly educating myself and just being ignorant myself and saying stupid things and being informed by people more intelligent than me, and people taking their time to really teach me, is the fact that the science is done by people who really care and good people, and there is really good science out there. The problem that we face is funding. There's a lack of funding for science, and there's a lack of funding for enforcement. And if you injected $100 million and spent 5 years doing the best scientific studies ever, you would have a much better platform to manage the fishery from. And you can do the best science ever with much money, endless money, infinity money. And you could have really good management come from that because you have a really good base and platform of science. But none of that matters if you don't have enforcement on the water, because all the science and management in the world doesn't help if there's not someone backing it up through enforcement. So we have two big problems: a lack of science funding and a lack of funding for enforcement. Currently, I mentioned before how there's 8 federal councils, right? In the Pacific Council, which spans from like Oregon to Southern California, they have 3 science centers for one council. In the Southeast region, where we have huge amounts of recreational fishing, the largest number of recreational fishing than any other area in the whole United States, we have one science center out of Miami, the Southeast Fisheries Science Center, that's responsible for all the stock assessments for the entire South Atlantic Fishery Management Council, Caribbean Fishery Management Council, and the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council. And they're also responsible for highly migratory species and sharks. So they essentially have one science center that's in charge of stock assessments for 5 different large management bodies that require a lot of scientific input and data. So we have a huge constraint to our scientific body. And what happens and what fishermen get frustrated with, and what I get frustrated with, and what I was extremely frustrated with on the water, and what you guys brought up before the show, was the whole thing with gag grouper. Especially in your area, you guys live in the mecca of shallow water gag grouper fishing. And when you hear gag grouper in trouble and you go out there and there's gag grouper busting bait on the surface, you're like, something's not right. And I understand, and I am as frustrated with it as you are, because a lot of times what we see on the water doesn't match what's being said in management or what's coming out of management. And the reason is the positive and negative of that is because the big drawback or the big lag behind what we see on the water and what's being told to us is because of the drawback of the science. They do, for example, red grouper right now. We just had a stock assessment completed, and that stock assessment said red grouper were in trouble. So the catch levels went super, super narrow, and they constricted our catch level, cut our quotas. And now that fishery is rebounding like crazy, and it's getting healthier and healthier. And we're seeing more and more red grouper every day, and the fishery is getting healthier. And what's happening? Our season's getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And that's because we keep overfishing the quota. In 2021, they closed the season in September. We overfished it by like, I don't know, 70 some percent. Last year, they closed it in August. We overfished it by 60%. This year, they're talking about closing red grouper in June or July. And I have a feeling we're going to overrun it again because the fishery is really healthy. And basically, when you take a fishery that was found to be unhealthy by a stock assessment, and then you constrain the catch levels, and then the fishery rebounds really quickly, it's super healthy. The fisheries have to close early because of federal law that states you can't allow overfishing. So now you take a fishery that was depressed, that was in trouble, now it's healthy, and there's more fish out there. You catch those fish quicker. Those fish are bigger, so you're catching larger fish more quickly. So before, let's boil it down, before you were filling up a truck bed with 5-pound weights, and 2 guys were loading that truck bed to 100 pounds of 5-pound weights. So your average size fish was 5 pounds, your quota was 100 pounds, 2 guys out there loading the truck. You could pretty easily estimate how long that time would take, right? But now we have 6 guys loading the truck with 7 pounds of weight. You can all of a sudden load that truck a lot faster and hit 100 pounds a lot quicker. And because you don't know, you a lot of times will overload the truck. And that's what's happening with red grouper. And the science is to catch up. This year, they did an interim analysis on red grouper that showed the fishery is healthy. And the scientists are saying the fishery is healthy. The managers are acknowledging that the fishery is healthy, but they can't increase the quota because the recreational fishermen keep exceeding the quota. And the recreational fishermen don't mean to. They're just fishing the season they're given. Yeah. So the problem really boils down to the lag behind what we're seeing on the water and the science. So hopefully this year, they're going to close down red grouper early enough to where there's not an overage. And then at the beginning of this coming year, they'll be able to do that interim analysis and show once again that the fishery is healthy. And then they'll be able to slowly increase the catch level. And then hopefully prevent overages, and that catch level will slowly increase. We saw the same thing. It's very cyclical. We saw the same thing in 2009, or 2005, excuse me. Fuel prices in 2004, 2005 were at a historic high. We had a huge hurricane season. I mean, nobody was really fishing.
Yeah.
And they had the stock assessment that came out that said, we destroyed the red grouper. We caught all these red grouper. The fishery's in trouble. Cut it down. And they started constraining the bag limit. They started constraining the seasons. And all of a sudden, the fishery rebounded like crazy, got super healthy. And in 2014, we had the largest catch level ever recorded for red grouper. And we saw that cyclical downturn of the fishery. And then all of a sudden, a huge spike in recruitment, more fish on the water. And so I think we're in the middle of that right now. We saw that huge downturn in red grouper where people really struggled to catch them. And now they're everywhere and they're getting healthier and healthier. I mean, I'm only 32 years old. And I remember when I was 17, 18, 19, 20 years old working on the party boat, we would drift in 40 foot of water and catch 40, 50 sea keepers of red grouper in 40 foot of water. Today, you couldn't do that if you had a million hours.
Yeah.
You couldn't drift in 40 foot of water off Tampa Bay and catch 40 head of keeper red grouper. There's no way. It's just the fishery is not what it once was, even in my short lifetime. But it's coming back. We're starting to see those fish really start to fill back in, and it's getting healthier and healthier. And it's an exciting thing. And that's kind of what we're seeing with the gag grouper too, is the science is lagging behind what we're seeing on the water. We're seeing a lot of gags. We're seeing a healthy population, but the science is saying that the gag population isn't right, because historically the male to female ratio was about 20 to 30% males to 70 to 80% females. Right now, in the most recent scientific studies that were completed, it was 2 to 6% male gag grouper is what they found. And what happens with gags is the big boys, the big aggressive fish will actually turn sexes from female to male and become dominant apex predators in an area. And they'll be the responsible party for basically fertilizing a lot of gag grouper eggs. And what's happening over time is we as fishermen have become smarter. We've got bigger and better Yamaha engines, and we've got GPS enabled trolling motors, and we've got strike lines charts and Garmin relief shading, and we're running out there in these super fast boats and super deep water and putting our trolling motor down and staying right on top of this rock that we found on our strike lines chart or Garmin relief shading or Seymour maps. And we're stroking these big, huge 20, 30, 40, 50 pound gag grouper that historically really took a lot of skill and experience to catch. And now it's way easier because people like us doing internet shows and making it easier and providing content, and YouTube teaching you, and then just the technology out there that's available for purchase is insane. And it's made it easier to kill fish. And I'm only 32 years old. And when I was younger, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, fishing with my dad on 39-hour trips, on a 39-hour trip, you might see 2, 3, 4 boats, maybe 6 boats on a busy weekend. Nowadays, if you go out on a 39-hour, if you don't see 6 boats at sunrise, something's wrong. It's crazy how many boats are out there. And the opening day of red snapper season, I mean, you go out there at night, it looks like you're looking at the city horizon. I mean, it looks like you're looking at Tampa Bay. There's so many lights out on the horizon, even 100 miles from shore.
Looks like scallop season over here.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Very similar. And it's really amazing from an aspect of we have such a healthy fishery. We have such a great state. We have so many cool things drawing people here. But at the same time, the Gulf of Mexico pie is only so big, right? Mm. And there's a lot of people eating that pie. And the more people that eat that pie, the smaller the pieces are going to get. Yep. And the more effectively and efficiently you can eat, meaning the better technology we have, the bigger boats we have, the bit more motors that are on the back of the boat, the more fancy the reel and the rod. I mean, you're wearing a Bull Bay rod shirt. I mean, I can feel a pinfish fart in 200 foot of water with those rods. Yeah. I mean, it's the technology that we have nowadays compared to like when my grandfather was around using soap on a rope to find hard bottom and a sextant to navigate by the stars compared to today. I mean, Loran A was not that long ago. Now my iPhone, the same GPS capabilities that the military has. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, side scans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Live scope. You can watch the fish eat your bait in 80 foot of water. It's crazy.
So I mean, we just really need to do our part on conservation at this point, and you know, I'm a big believer in not putting fish in the freezer, and you know, eating it fresh is the best way.
Oh yeah.
So, but like you said, I mean, with all the technology, and you know, one of the biggest things, especially on offshore fishing, is radars. Mm-hmm. You know, like that's beyond cheating, in my opinion. But no, man.
That goes to a whole different realm.
Yeah, exactly. So Dale, if Dylan didn't answer your question, then don't ever ask a question again. 'Cause that was amazing, man. And what I got from that is I'm going to be voting for you when you run for governor.
Oh,
seriously.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot to the science of all this stuff, and it can't be explained in one show. That's for sure. But there's more to it than just catch limits and different things like that. So to answer Dale's question, I'm sure he didn't get the answer he was looking for, but that right there was very informative.
Oh, seriously, man. And you hit it on the nail on the head too with the scientists. Like the one girl that I spoke to, she was kind and she was sincere and she was like truly like invested in it, you know, and it was just and the amount of, you know, stuff that she just, you know, was proud to give, and about the male and female ratios and everything else. It was, you could tell that they really cared about, and they just weren't out there scamming or just, you know, making a quick.
And that's the people we need.
Yes.
In there. Yeah. Those are the people we need. People like you. Yeah, definitely.
But well, cool. Well, hey, Dylan, tell us about your shows, because I want to start watching these, especially if this type of stuff you talk about, because this is, you know, in my opinion, this is beyond fishing.
Yes.
You know, this is about the whole recreational sport of it.
Right. This is the science behind it too.
Yeah. So you got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What are the different shows?
Yeah. So I was blessed with being in the right place at the right time, and my grandfather's legacy to get the opportunity to work with Fox 13 News. So every Friday morning at 8:15 a.m. on Fox Channel 13 News, we do a little 5-minute segment on what's going on now, what's coming up, and talking about fish from the past week and what we think is going to be happening the next week. So that's a little 5-minute segment on Friday mornings, live around 8:15 a.m. Friday. And then Saturday morning, I've been blessed to work with the great Captain Mike Anderson of the Real Animals, and join the Real Animals team as a co-host of the Saturday morning Real Animals radio show. And that's broadcasted live to our Hubbard's Marina and Captain Dylan Hubbard and Real Animals Facebook pages, and also the Real Animals YouTube, and then of course on News Radio 970 WFLA as well. And that's 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. every Saturday morning. And then Sunday night, I do my own internet show, much like this great show. And I'm picking up some tips and tricks from you as we go through here. But our internet show is Sunday nights at 7:30 p.m. And we give away over $1,000 in free fishing trips every week. All you have to do is tune in and hang out. And we have basically learned from the great Mel Berman, the great Mike Anderson, and many others, and kind of ours is much like what you said earlier. Is just kind of we roll and see what happens. There's no agenda. The loose structure is we talk a little bit about what's going on now. We started just like you guys did, showing photos of what's been caught in the past week, and then we talk a little bit about weather. I'm a self-admitted weather nerd, and we nerd out about weather for a few minutes and what's going on now, what's coming up, and I make my guesstimates on the best weather days and best fishing opportunities coming up. And then we talk a lot about questions, and you can text your questions in live during the show, and we stream it to our Facebook, to our YouTube, to our Trovo, to our Twitch, and to multiple different Facebook pages and groups. But the Hubbard's Marina pages are the easiest place to find us. And we do a lot on social media. Every morning we do about a 5 to 10 minute fishing report on TikTok and Instagram at sunrise. And then just after 8 a.m. on Facebook, Trovo, and Twitch when I'm at the dock and not in a meeting or offshore. We do those every morning as well. So you can catch those live as well.
Good deal.
I bet you in your little weather reports, everybody's listening to you other than, not listening to the guy on the Fox 13 News about it. For sure. I would be, that's for sure. Yeah. Because you're there, you know about it, you know what's happening. Seriously. And a lot of people just do that on my boat. They say, how do you know the weather so well? We live it. This is what we do for a living every day. You have to know the weather.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Billy, man, with the Windy app, and you have every single weather stem pulled up on our computer downstairs before each airboat tour, and he knows how to plan all of his routes. So George Quinn, you guys and Jay Carson need to do a show also. He's in the local Panhandle. Awesome guy Jay is. Hey, Sean, do we have the information on the Sunday show that we could pull up real quick? There we go. Real quick.
It disappeared.
There it is. So if you guys want to take a screenshot, because $1,000 in trips each week, you're going to see me on that show every week now. So that's awesome, man. Too cool. Mario, unless we want to stay here next Tuesday, you got any other questions?
No, that would be it for me. But this interview is probably the best interview that I've been on. Yeah, for sure.
You could tell people when they have a passion for something, and this is beyond a passion.
Yes.
So, Dylan, you're amazing, man. I really look forward to watching your shows, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been cruising through the YouTube stuff, and you guys put on some amazing content, and you shows what you all do. So really excited to get down and see you and fish. And
we've got to get a bunch of us inshore knuckleheads, and you guys we got to do a 39-hour offshore trip. Definitely get a bunch of us inshore knuckleheads.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be fun. Yeah, let's go ahead and get that thing started.
I'm gonna sign up for the food package.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'll be in the. I might help cook.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah, I've heard about your shore lunches and some of the stuff you do. So I'd be interested in that, Mario.
Yeah, I'll have to bring it on the boat with us when we're up there.
Yeah, you should try his tarpon patties. They're delightful, delicious.
No.
JK.
Well, very cool. I appreciate you guys having me on the show. It's definitely been very interesting and cool to see how you guys do it. Thank you again. But don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy.
Yeah. I love it, man. Thank you very much. Well, we got a couple more segments left, so if you got time, stick around, and I'm excited to watch your show as well. So thank you again for everything, Dylan. Thank you for everything you do for our community and the state of Florida. So
thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right, brother. We'll see you. Well, cool.
Yeah, that was
awesome, man.
Really good. That was a fantastic interview. But I believe we're going to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Talk some mirror lure.
Yep, talking some mirror lure when we come back.
Vagabond dreaming takes me through the night, sipping whiskey by the river, living out of sight. 100 miles an hour in the fast lane, 100 miles an hour toward the light.
Sabalitos.
Any moment when the sun does come, 100 miles an hour in the fast lane,
everyone, we are back, and we are at the Nature Coast Financial Advisors Tackle Table Talk. We're talking one of Mario's favorite baits, one of my favorite hard baits for sure. They've been around a real long time. So this is the longest our show has ever lasted, by the way.
Wow.
We are way over right now, but it was well worth it. We're gonna pay the respect to MirrOlure to show off some of their stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially the Miradines. We talk about their soft plastics a lot, so I'd say we can cover that another time, Mario. Let's throw some of these MirrOlures up. There's one in particular that I really want to talk about, but I'm going to let you take it away. And I think the biggest thing, Mario, is the very common misuse and misaction while using a Miradine.
These Miradines, there's two different sizes here. We have a 17 MR and a 19 MR. I don't know if you can zoom in on this, but we have the two different sizes. The 19 is just a little bit bigger than the 17, but these are really simple to use. Most people overwork them. They're twitching them, jerking them really hard. Sometimes they jerk it so hard that it wraps up into the hooks and stuff like that. These are very simple to use. You drag them through the water, slow twitching them. You don't have to hit them really hard. And these bigger ones, I find that if you just peel them through the water nice and slow, it has a really slow moving action side to side that you don't even have to twitch them. The smaller ones I twitch a little bit harder, but the bigger ones I don't twitch them at all.
Yep.
And people just overwork it, almost like a spoon. People overwork a spoon, and you just want the lure to do the work. It's real simple.
Yeah.
It's really simple.
And a lot of people are afraid to use Miradines in shallow water, and that's some of the best trout fishing that you can do, especially the end of winter time.
Yep.
And but if you work them too slow, that's where you get them hung up. I am a snap down, and Billy and I had a big argument about this on the boat one day. He kept doing this, and then by the time he reeled in, he was already snagged up.
Right.
So, I was saying, Billy, twitch it down. And, because you're pulling it down and it's like almost skating across those rocks. And, it's making the noise across them just like a spoon, like you were saying. I'm very prone to two types of topwater. The Jaywalker, made by Berkeley, I'm a big fan of. But the Surface Walker and this Mullet Edition, this has actually became one of my new favorite topwater baits. Very hard to find. They go through these like crazy. It's hard to keep in stock. But I am a huge fan of this thing. It is perfect, especially when you're up in like the Jacksonville, St. Augustine area where there's just finger mullet everywhere. I'm a huge fan of that bait.
That's a good color pattern, the one that we have here. They got a pretty normal sounding rattle. It's not a real low pitch rattle. I like the higher pitch rattles in a topwater bait like this one. Like I said, the Miradine's everyone's go-to. This one looks just like a pinfish. I mean, there's no mistake in it. But all these topwater baits, these things walk the dog nice and slow. You can twitch, pause. You can work it fast. You can work it slow. Yeah, it's very versatile for a topwater bait.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great product. One of the most recognized names out there for a reason. This color here. This seems to be, for whatever reason, that electric chicken color. What is this one called?
That's a good Yankee Town color.
The 17 MREC Yankee Town. I don't even know what it is about it. Maybe the fluorescent on the bottom, the pink on the top. I have no idea, but that seems to be a go-to for a lot of people.
It sticks out. Yeah.
I'm not real experienced with these, except bass fishing.
Right. They only have a handful of lip plugs. The lip plugs that I'm familiar with are the big ones that everyone goes grouper fishing with. They have two different sizes. They're actually the same size, but one dives like 5 to 7 feet, and the other one dives 25 feet. But these are the lip series, the suspending crankbaits. These would work like just any other crankbait. You slow roll them. You can bounce them off a structure. These things dive 3 to 5 feet. But I haven't used any of their lip baits. I've always used the non-lip baits. But I'd like to try one of these, actually.
That one's yours.
All right, this one's mine.
Yep. Yeah, and MirrOlure actually hooked us up with all these lures here. So we're gonna we're actually going to give away a lot of these tonight.
Oh, perfect.
Yep, this is going to be the giveaway. You know, Mirror Lure, huge shout out to them. You know, hooking us little guys up with this stuff. Actually, you know, hooking y'all up that watch this show. So, you know, you're going to get a huge Mirror Lure package. Now, tonight's trivia question, I hope y'all were paying attention. It was actually said in the very beginning, is when was Hubbard's Marina actually started?
First established. When were they first established?
What year? What year were they first established? The first 6 people to answer that correctly is going to get added to the Extreme Decalz Hydro Deck Reel of Fortune, and then we're going to spin that. But we're going to do this quick, so I hope you all are watching. First 6 people to answer when was Hubbard's Marina first established is going to get a chance to win this awesome Mirror Lure package, except that one, Mario.
Yeah, this one's mine. This one's mine.
I'm actually excited. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you want to do a commercial, and then we'll come back and hit the reel. And
sounds good.
All right. Oh, it's already full.
Wow.
People are paying attention, I'm telling you.
We have 6 people to watch.
All right. All right. Come back and spin a reel.
Yep.
Hey Gary, what you doing?
Oh, just going through the book, looking at some dash panels.
As nice as that sounds, what if we went and did something a little more custom? Do you know anybody that might be able to make a switch panel like this?
Let's go talk to Brian.
I think Brian would be a good idea for that.
Oh, let's go.
It'd be sweet.
Oh, Brian. Hey, man.
What's up, Brian?
I got a cardboard cutout. Can you make it into something for me?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. What?
This is our dash panel complete. Just wanted to throw a huge shout out to Brian up there at Extreme Decalz. Nailed it. This is exactly what I had envisioned when I drew literally a cardboard cutout for this to become a true dash piece and showpiece at the same time. Thank you very much, Brian. I'm super stoked to see this thing on the water.
Welcome back. So we are
there we go.
at the Reel of Fortune, the Extreme Decalz, the Hydro Deck. You guys got to check that stuff out. Brian and Larry and those guys, they completely decked my boat out and that stuff, and it is so damn comfortable, Mario.
It's awesome.
Dude, I love it. Easy to clean, long lasting. All right, so that was super quick.
Yeah. I can't believe we have 6 viewers. So.
I mean, it was super quick answering that. So 1928.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That's almost 100 years of Hubbard's Marine.
Dude, that is awesome, man. I'd love to see Florida-grown companies, and so that was really great having him on the show. All right, so 6 people answered. The first 6 people to answer correctly got added. They got associated with one of these fish symbols here, Mario. Why don't you spin the heck out of this thing?
All right. Oh.
I'm just going to hold this up.
Yeah, we're just going to hold it up. There you go.
All right.
What's your guess? I'm going to say redfish.
Tarpon. There is no tarpon.
Shrimp. It's
always shrimp.
It's always a shrimp. Who's on shrimp? Who do we have on shrimp? Dale, and he had a great question, too. Yeah, that was the question.
Congratulations, Dale. You won the awesome Mirror Lure package over there of all those awesome hard baits. Guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of Fish Talk Live. Be sure to check out all of Dylan's shows that he does, especially that one on Sunday, because I'm definitely going to be watching that to have a chance
Check
at winning.
out his website, too. He has all those videos on his website. Very informative. He's a great speaker. I hope we have him on again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
That was for sure. And I hope he sets up that fishing trip.
That would be too cool.
For all of us knuckleheads.
Cool, and make sure to check out Mirror Lure, guys. Thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you to all of our incredible sponsors. Without all of y'all, this wouldn't be possible. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Damn. You all right? Oh, I'm good. I told you to be careful. Is that GoPro on? Yeah. That's bad right there. Oh, That was better than catching a fish.